and welcome to session 62 of the Sphere of Power campaign. From the Ashes. The return of the Princess Shadala has livened the spirits of the oasis and given cause for celebration. With her presence restored, not only are the people relieved to have their future matron safely home, but hope has been renewed that Kalatarius would soon succumb to Martek's prophecy. Mizram, Redreth, Kalali, and the Goliath brothers, now joined by the dragonborn priest Fekesh, who has found his own calling in their company, have found themselves welcomed back to the oasis with open arms and in high esteem. The Sheik's gratitude for having rescued his future daughter-in-law has shown no bounds, including a glorious feast that has been assembled in your honor. Indeed, it seems the feast has quickly evolved from an admittedly more than simple gathering to an elaborate affair, and now it appears to have become a local holiday. Children previously unseen are now frolicking in the streets, while music from strange-sounding air-blown instruments and metallic rings can now be heard coming from gatherings of dancers and musicians throughout the oasis. Additionally, it seems the party members are now being recognized by one and all as they wander amongst the tents, garnering services for their honorarium and supplies for the next step in their journey, finding the last star gem of Martek. As they join the Sheik, his son Hassan, and other familiar faces that have come to partake of the feast, the legend of the Sheik's amulet and the unusual print on Shadala's hand became more clear. Indeed, these were devices of Martek's design, meant to ensure that his prophecy would endure, and the means to defeat Kalatarius once and for all would survive through the centuries. By combining the amulet passed down by the Sheik to his heirs with the palm mark that had determined the bride of the firstborn son for many generations, the party discovered the location of the lost city of Phoenix in the ancient lands of Carthag, where they would supposedly find their salvation against the Pasha of Freet. Many have come to celebrate your achievements. A plethora of fine foods from near and far have been laid before you on the low-standing table before you. Places of honor for each of you have been designated adjacent to the Sheik with lush pillows provided for your comfort. Male and female belly dancers entreat each of you during your meal. Most believe you are the heroes that can vanquish the Ifrit on your whim. Comments from admirers have been both heartwarming and sometimes absurd or even creepy at times. The sense of recognition and admiration fills the party with a sense of pride and acceptance, to which many of you are unfamiliar. Distractions are many, but it does not escape your notice that Chorus is nowhere to be seen during the festivities. But despite the welcome reception, events seem to be pulling the party forward, and they will soon need to leave the comforts of the oasis behind. If the amulet and story is to be believed, the lands of Carthag lie beyond the blackened crags that border the northern extent of the oasis. Locals have warned that during the day, the heat from those hills can be enough to cook a camel in its tracks. Even at night, they rarely cool down enough to touch with bare flesh. So the path around the hills seems to be the only option, which will take you far from the Sand Voyager's path leading north. It seems none have ventured to that region. The only knowledge of the area comes from bard songs, stories passed down through family tales, and local lore convoluted by one too many tellings over a flagon of ale. All right, folks. So, unless you have any other city business or oasis business that you would like to take care of at this point, any visitations, any supplies, any additional information you want to try to garner, I think we are ready to proceed with return to desert travel. And so now's your time to speak up, folks.
No, sounds good to me.
I mean, do we want to buy potions and shit? Like some health potions?
Camels have been
before we-
replenished with food and water, so you don't have to worry about basic supplies.
So,
I think we're pretty much stocked up on healing
Oh,
potions,
yeah, I got-
unless anybody wants to give us more shit since we're now superheroes.
I do
I,
have
I'll
a
check
few
my
potions of
inventory,
healing, so I am good.
Once I get my mouse to move, I'll tell you if I'm good.
In general, you will find that your newfound reputation has afforded you good deals at the various shops, but no one has really been showering you with gifts quite yet, other than the Sheik. And the camels have been supplied for what should be enough for 20 days of normal desert travel.
Yeah, I could use some healing potions. I got one of greater healing, but that's it. So I'd like
Just
to
as
stop for 3
just
if I
as
could.
a reminder, there is some potions in player sheet inventory that people haven't picked up. There's also a couple of magic items like +2 dagger, +1 shield, +1 mace. So if anyone either want to use those items or if not want to sell them for more money for different kind of supplies, I guess this would be the opportunity for you. Me being the cat, meow, I'm not too bothered.
Where'd all those diamonds come from?
If I remember correctly, didn't I don't know, did we loot them?
No, I remember there
Oh,
being one that we broke down, but that seems to be worth a lot more than the diamond that we had. I know we wanted smaller ones available for some.
Well, we
kind of
had the
supply.
500 gold piece gem that we broke into smaller chunks.
Yeah, so according
So-
to this, you have, let's see, 1,000, 3,000, 4,500, 5,100 gold pieces worth of diamonds
Sweet.
Whoa.
and 17 different pieces.
yeah.
Yeah, at the party we do have a habit of go loot crazy and then forget to claim the loot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually that's probably a good point. Civilian tent, short sword, shield. Yeah, at this point, you probably got quite a bit of weight there that I'm going to say is not going to be appropriate for you to continue to carry around. Since
The Goliaths can carry all the gold.
yeah, this is true. This is true. I won't do it right away, but at some point in the future, I'm probably going to clean out the parcel items. So sometime in between now and the next 2 sessions, make sure you guys claim what you want.
I was gonna say
Okay.
anything that's not a plus is probably saleable
Yeah.
as far as equipment goes.
And I mean, I know Vara could use some mithril armor.
That
Stop
tells me
getting-
that your reputation means that you are going to get better value on your resale too. So we just up that.
Sweet. Yeah, just stuff to think about.
Redrith will also take one of the diamonds for I need it for a spell.
Go ahead. I think that was the primary reason why you guys broke it up was so that you could use it for spells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just looking in my inventory, seeing if I've already got it. I don't see it.
I guess a big question that I have for the party, since that you did have the day to rest up and get supplies and do your leveling. I don't, well, Jim, I know you wanted to do that transcription. How long was that going to take? Do you recall?
I thought we did this transcription already.
You succeeded in rolling it, but I don't think we actually
Oh,
took
right.
into account the time it would
I
take.
was
for him to
writing
do it.
the spell. Yeah, I'll have to look that up.
So I'm just kind of curious whether or not we're going to be leaving right after the feast. And or presuming that you're not going to travel during the day as we've been avoiding, are you going to, or do you have to wait until the following night before we head on out? And that's mostly a call you guys need to make.
Well, I would assume since it's just us and no longer dealing with the princess that we would stick to our nighttime travel.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
saying. So it's either tonight or tomorrow night. It seems to me you guys might need an extra day given the feast and presuming that at least some of you are going to
Imbibe.
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Park's gonna try to introduce people to eating spiders. Let them know how good they are.
Oh, yeah.
Share a little
Fried
bit of your
spider
culture.
leg. It's the latest thing.
Keith, is it okay if I trade to 200 gold diamond in for to get it converted into diamond dust worth 100 gold?
While you are here in town, I would presume that a mortar and pestle is available. So I don't think that'd be a problem. And quite honestly, that is something I'm sure someone would be willing to do for free for you at this point. So yes, you may do so.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'll just you just take 2 of the diamonds out of the party sheet and obviously get rid of them.
Okay.
Or unless I drag it to my character sheet and then just delete them.
Either way is fine, but keep in mind the value of the dust is going to be half the value of the diamond in its whole form.
Not that fine. I didn't realize that stone skin is an expensive little spell. If you keep the
Yeah,
lives
diamond
safe on the
is
front
worth a lot more when it's a full thing, you know.
line. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to presume you guys are going to take an extra day to head on out for make sure all issues are covered. It'll also give us some buffer room in case Alex wants Kaylee to do anything else. I think that will
Okay,
also
I figured out the spell thing.
Okay, yeah, I was just going
Um,
to say it should give you enough time for
so-
that. So
Because that spell is a
fifth level, isn't it? Or
it's
fourth?
Fourth level. So yeah, it's 2 hours per level and costs 50 gold. So it's 8 hours.
Okay,
to
so
copy that in.
yeah, you would not have had enough time to finish the transcription between the time you returned to the camp and the time that the feast took place. So,
Does it all have to happen in one shot, or can it be broken up overnight?
I'll say we don't have to worry about that at this point because you will be able to get a full 8 hours in if you guys are going to stay until the following day.
Okay.
Which is what we're going to do because we're going to assume that you guys are going to enjoy yourselves a little bit because at this point, what you do know about the next phase, first of all, you know that the next step is you've got 4 of the 5 star gems. There's obviously a 5th one to pick up, but you've gotten very little clues other than the maps that you found as to what you're supposed to do with them or where you're supposed to go afterwards. And as mentioned in the prologue, no one knows about the area that you guys are heading towards. It's off the beaten trail. It's far away from the Sand Voyagers trail that you guys have been using so far, primarily to help you navigate I mean, there's a reason why this is called the Desert of Desolation. Without that trail and the markers that they've put down that can be seen from up to 10 miles away, the desert is almost indiscernible in every direction. It's obvious why it has that name. And the notion of getting lost in this desert is definitely weighing heavy on your minds right now. You're like, damn, okay, we're going away from the trail. How are we going to, I mean, you can rely on the sun, but you know, from mile to mile, it's going to be very, very difficult to tell where the hell you're going. So you're heading out into basically the wilder expanses of the desert. You don't know where you're heading to afterwards. And in short, you may not be coming back to the oasis. So yeah, there's definitely a desire to indulge a little bit, enjoy some of the comforts of the oasis, because it might be a while before you guys are going to be able to relax in comfort again. So
Is there a smithy? Like, could I get some plate armor?
Obviously, plate is not something that's going to be used by anyone during the day. I
Right.
don't think that's necessarily going to make it unavailable, though. Yeah, I'm going to say that without a good reason. There's no reason why plate shouldn't be available to you. Now, I don't think you'll find any exceptional plate, you know, anything magical quality, but you should be able to find a basic set. Oh, wait a minute. That being said, something available that'll fit your frame could be an issue. All right, let's go for the die rolls here. All right, so this is what it's gonna come down to. Let's see.
And also, just so you know, Keith, while we were um, there at camp, I re-upped the spells in my ring of spell storing. So they do not equal more than 5 levels of spells in there.
I was just reading about an armor from the Tomb of Annihilation. I'm not going to send that.
All right, this is what you are able to find available in plate gear.
Okay.
That will fit you. No leggings, no chest piece.
All right. Would I be able to get a +1 to my armor with the greaves, gauntlets, and helm? Because my base with the chainmail is a 15. A 16, sorry.
In the interest of crap. What did I just create for myself by breaking it down? Yeah, I'm gonna say in the interest of keeping things flowing and not spending too much time on it, that you can assemble the pieces until you have a complete set, but until you have a complete set, you're not gonna get the benefit of full plate.
Roger. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, there's a reason why they call it full plate, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And even then, it's only a +1 advantage over the rest of it, so over a normal plate. So yeah, we'll wait until you have it fully assembled, but it does look nice. All right. So what? Oh, I gotta. Update the date. All right, so you will be heading out the following day around 8:30 p.m. And follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Let's see. Is that what I need? There we go. All right. So let's see how this goes. Huh. I guess that isn't too bad. So maybe about 3 hours in, around midnight. You do see an Air Lancer patrol. And should probably bring up the big map so we can see where we all are. Go ahead and share this with everyone. Lord.
So we are the D&D symbol on the map.
That is correct.
All right.
That's the party moniker or icon.
We should buy some javelins. Didn't we use javelins with rags on them before to keep track of our path? Or spears with some
Correction.
kind of marker.
Have we already left? I think we've already left. So we should have, but we didn't.
Yep. Clark brings this up a day later. You know, we should have grabbed some spears.
I have a spear.
None that got left on the camels?
I've got a spear. What are we getting spears for? Sorry.
Just to keep track of our path because we're leaving
Oh, sticks in
the
the
marked
dirt.
trails. Yep. And
Gotcha.
we've just done that before to keep our bearings. Yeah, we didn't. Does anybody know like directions really well? Probably
General
Kayla.
or in the game?
She's kind of in the game.
Depends on what you'd want to use. My survival is a +4.
Okay.
Yeah, that helps with tracking. And yeah, probably a good point to bring up, but you haven't really needed to use it because you've been mostly following trails or some kind of marker like the river as you've been following along. All right, so other than the Air Lancer patrol that flies overhead as you are about maybe 2 or 3 hours out, your journey overnight is relatively uneventful. So you come to the fork in the river that you had discovered earlier, the one where it branches south towards the crypt, which you guys had recently left, and then continues northward where you guys pretty much have not yet ventured. Let me take this timeline. And what you do notice there actually, it's a small herd of jackasses kind of drinking at the
Nice.
river's edge. Have any interest in them, or are you
in
gonna
the
let
middle-
them be?
My friend's doing here.
In the middle of the night, big
No,
flasks,
as
cracking
you-
jokes.
It's actually as you approach at dawn, you see them at the river's edge. It's actually probably a little after dawn, or like 9. So the sun is up, but the heat isn't definitely not at full bore yet. So do you have any interest in them, or are you gonna let them be?
Do we see like a caretaker for them? Anybody?
No,
or
they appear to be wild.
I mean,
No,
Pack
no
me.
pack gear or anything else on them that would suggest that they're domesticated.
a pack ass anyway.
Mhm.
I point out to the rest of the group. Didn't we see these last time when we came this direction?
Mhm. I think so.
Yeah, could be a morning ritual for them.
Oh, that could be a boon or a curse, man.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're.
Wait, the camels are fine.
I'm gonna ask the guy who should have a little bit of connectivity with the animals. Would these have a larger or smaller proclivity to being spooked in a fight, Ms.?
He licks his testicles.
I just shook my shoulders, guy. I don't know. I mean,
Relative to camels, they're probably going to be a little more skittish. Relative to horses, they're probably going to be a little more sturdy or stable.
And given that they're wild, they wouldn't be, if they
Yeah,
see a
they haven't
predator,
been
they'd
trained.
be used to running.
I get feeling you all tend to forget that as a druid, I have no proficiency with animals whatsoever, even though that I like to be an animal myself.
Yeah, he's
We-
good at
we love
being
the
one,
irony.
not talking to them.
We just love the irony.
I don't know what you guys think. Maybe we just let them be.
Yeah, let's let him be. Just keep
Uh,
shrugging, keep on keeping on. Our camels are good.
Didn't we also see last time when we saw the camels roaming wild around here last time? Didn't we see a strange woman that was also lurking around here last time?
Do you want me to divine sense? See if there's our fiendish jackasses.
Mm-hmm.
But
Fey fiend
isn't
or
there,
undead.
isn't the range on that limited though?
Are they were asses?
Or
Feral
60 feet.
jackasses.
Let me see.
Where asses?
Yeah, 60 feet. I mean, that's not bad.
All right, so I need to comment on something from a DM's point of view that I find quite humorous. So it has to be shared. I'm sure throughout the course of the campaign, you've noticed me do the multiple dice rolls.
Sure.
And sometimes I throw them out there just to make you think that I'm doing something, just so you know, not every roll is significant. I want to keep you guys on your toes.
Every roll is sacred. Sorry.
That
Oh
being
my
said,
gosh.
a good majority of those rolls are whether or not you guys notice anything. And have found it interesting that not only, if I look at your perception scores for each one of you, it's quite interesting to note how often a person with a high perception gets a high roll anyway and still makes the perception roll regardless of the bonus they get for having the high perception in the first place. So like, for instance, with, I notice Alex has finally joined in. I'm not sure if she can hear us or not yet, but with her high perception, yeah, admittedly, her bonus helps her, but it's not unusual. Actually, it's quite common for her to roll 17s, 18s, 19s on her perception rolls. And for the most part, most of you seem to roll right around what your perception score is, with one exception. Can anyone guess? Going once, going twice?
Me.
No, not you. For some strange reason, the wizard always seems to roll a 1 or a 2. I don't know what the hell you're doing all the time, Jim, but you're oblivious, man.
He's got his nose in a book.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right,
I'm
it's been
thinking
good.
about scribing stuff into books and everything. Of
You know
course.
what? That's a perfect
Thinking about
explanation. But
nature of
you will
time,
definitely,
since I'm now a time wizard, you know?
yeah. Well, yeah, you're lost in time, maybe. So you may be
I'm looking
potent.
for the 5 different colored stones.
Well, you may be potent, but I think it is definitely indicative of a character trait that you are easily distracted. Squirrel.
Absent-minded.
Susceptible to squirrels.
Absent-minded. That's what I'm going with. Absent-minded.
No, maybe he's hyper focused.
Anyway, Alex, does that mean that you're in? Do we see you now?
I'm here.
Oh, you sound like
I
you're
can guarantee
half here.
mine is not hyper-focused. It's much more absent-minded.
Sorry, I didn't get to bed until about 7 this morning, so
Oh,
it's now
and yet
not
you
quite noon. So
made it anyway. Are you going to be able to log in, or you're just listening in through Zoom?
my computer is not at this location, so I'm not going to be able to log in to the computer.
Okay. Well, we'll do what we have to, but at least you're here in spirit, which is all we can ask for. Anyway, good morning, sleepyhead. All right, so that was a prelude to basically, once again, your ranger is the only one who notices something, or simply being her observant self comes to realize something. And you might need to fill in the blanks a little bit, Alex, based on what we have already covered so far. No big deal, but it was pretty much pointed out that your course forward takes you off of the beaten path, and you're going to be heading into an area of the desert that no one seems to know anything about, other than through
Yes.
ancient lore and legend. So with this in mind, and looking at where you guys are currently camped and the path forward, the dashed line on the shared map has been the Sand Voyagers Trail, which you've been following mostly throughout your course through the desert. And it's been easy to discern it because, as you may recall, they put up these poles with highly reflective flags and markers on top of them, probably like quartz crystals or something like that. So you can see them from up to 5 miles away, and it's made it very easy for you to follow the intended path, even when it gets blown over by sand or shifted by moving dunes, etc. So you're looking at the path forward, you're looking at the river, and it comes to your attention that where you are right now is just before where the Sand Voyagers path would cross over the River Athos. And it's been a while since the river has flowed forth from this point. So it's not exactly an easy passing. The ford isn't really as well defined as it may have once been. So looking to the north, you notice that the Sand Voyagers Trail crosses over to the west and then continues north. But the River Athos apparently follows the path around the mountains to the east, which is where you want to go.
Then we get to follow the river for a bit.
I think
Should we
it's
fill up our water skins with some of the river water?
You can, but you're still pretty topped off. I wouldn't really worry about it until you're leaving the river behind. If you're going to follow the Sand
Yeah.
Voyagers Trail, I would say yes, absolutely. But if you're going to follow the river, you're looking good.
Mhm.
No point.
You just see me on the back of the camel just shivering as I look at the river. I have flashbacks of previous nightmares dealing with the river.
And of course, the camels are taking their fill of the river every chance they get. They know to drink while it's available, so they're not dumb. All right, so with that in mind, you have a peaceful rest for the rest of the day. No interruptions. I don't know if you felt the need to cast the hut, but you're probably in good shape. And we come to dusk. Ready to head off? Any changes? Which way are we following? Are we staying to the east shore of the river? Or are we
I
crossing?
think so. I think we're staying to the eastern shore of the river because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think where we wanted to go was like the other side of the mountain rocky symbol things.
Yep, sound right.
And
Yep.
so that's this side of the river. So I think we want to stay on this side of the river and follow the river and hope that we don't get too lost.
Well, fortunately, the river doesn't split up, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem figuring out which way it's going or which way it's coming from. However, once you leave the Sand Voyagers path, the sand does become looser. Your travel will slow slightly, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, at 7:30 p.m., you guys pack up, you head on out. I don't think we're going to run into any issues there. Let's check how your night goes. All right, so make it to there without issue. That gives us when you guys get to here, you actually do.
Just got the noise in the back.
Who's washing the dishes?
All right, so
So that would be my son.
You want to mute your mic, Alex? You're really loud background.
all right, so a few hours after midnight, still well before dawn though. As you're walking at this point, kind of to your northeast, Kaeli, Mizram, and Fekish all notice that the night sky is lightened. Actually, you guys all pick it up. I guess you would have to. It was lightened to an incredible brilliance by a giant fire that appears from the west. The fire grows larger and larger as it streaks towards the eastern horizon. The night sky is inky black after its passage. Wee.
Ooh, shiny. Let's go to the shiny.
Yes. Walk towards the fire. Should we
Exactly. I agree.
do something with the camels when we get a little closer to the fire?
Wait, which way are we going?
You're heading kind of northeast at this point.
Okay, and the fire was to our west?
Came from the west, heading to the east.
Ah,
Wait a minute. What if this is the Ifrit messing with us and like making us leave a path we're more comfortable with for a more dangerous area? Maybe it's all dangerous. I don't know. I'm just saying.
You never know.
If it's something the Ifrit did damage to, though, we should check the city for survivors. Or
Sure.
people we can-
For sure.
That's definitely some.
Kel is just kind of like. Kello is just kind of like shaking her head, like as you guys are debating this, just kind of like, okay, whatever. I thought we were doing this, but okay, whatever. She'd like to stay focused on one thing at a time, but
Oh, I know.
if you guys want to go do something else, then we will go do something else. Monkey, hush.
Just saying. Be careful. We gotta be cautious. This could be bad news. Bears.
All right. Make sure you can see where you're going at this point would probably be fair. So we're continuing on along the river's edge, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And basically you're gonna make it to about. Why are you not letting me move it? The hell?
Gremlins?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, you know. This game is definitely prone to them. What? Oh, cool. So far, so good. All right, let's see. All right, so. I guess I got the snap on. There we go. All right, that's fine. We'll just leave it there. All right, so you make it to about there. When dawn finally comes, eventless night, which most of you are grateful for. Tiny hut, I'm presuming.
Yeah, I should think so.
So. Eventless day. I'm gonna have you set out slightly before sunset, just for ease of timekeeping. Yeah, this thing doesn't seem to want to let me move you guys unless it's exposed now. That seems to be a new feature now. All right, so we get over to there. All right, so just double check. Oh, yet another one. Eric, Isram, Fekish. For a change, you three beat out Kaylee and notice the sinkhole that you're about to step into.
That's what I was talking about. See?
See, I don't notice everything, just almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
So just to clarify, we skipped the glow on the horizon.
Correct.
No, you're pretty much heading that direction.
Oh,
Oh.
very good.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Would
Yeah,
this
at the time you were
be-
heading northeast, it was kind of backtracking, but from the best that you can tell, it's kind of, it went right towards where you're going, especially if you're turning south to follow the hills right now.
Go see the shiny.
Which I believe was our plan.
Plans? We don't need no stinking plans.
Yeah.
I still have, you're making references and I still have every sperm stuck in my head.
All right, so. And actually, to be clear, what happens more about the point that you get here. So you're still kind of walking adjacent to the river. However, let's see. All right. So even though it is but early in the morning and it's been dark for several hours, about this point, you come into an area. Let's see. Actually, all right, so you cross over a dune and you can see that the area to the south of where you are is a large bowl-shaped area surrounded by, you can see the mountains to the south, but the bowl seems to almost be completed by the sand dunes themselves, with just a small area allowing direct level access to the river. But for the most part, the area seems somewhat contained. And it becomes apparent to you because even at this time of the morning, as you walk into the area or the opening of where it is, you can feel blasts of hot air coming out of there. I mean, it is, not burning to the touch, but given that it's, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's probably 100-degree heat coming out of there. But if that isn't enough, you see a shining light far, far to the south.
I still like the shiny.
Yeah, definitely.
It seems, and just to be fair, it seems to be more something that is intermittently but frequently reflecting the moonlight, not something that's necessarily giving off its own light source. But to continue towards it, you will have to abandon the river. You will have to enter the area where the heat seems very, very oppressive. And thus, it would be a very good time to fill up your water canteens and other containers before continuing forward.
I was going to
Yep.
say that.
Yeah.
I was thinking of topping off and heading towards the shiny is my vote. I got to step away for a couple minutes.
Let's take a break then. We'll meet back here in 10 minutes.
Right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right, and I am pausing. We will be back. All right. So you guys have turned into the bowl of heat. Even at night, as I said, it's oppressively hot. Not that you would know the exact temperature, but to give you a sense of what it feels like, it's roughly 100 degrees out, even in the middle of the night. So you travel for a few more hours. There's very little activity in this desert. This place is dead silent, dead of motion. The wind doesn't even blow inside this bowl.
You could say it's desolate.
Yes, it is indeed. So as you approach dawn and you move further into the bowl that's surrounded by these mountains, ahead, the ever-present dunes have subsided to mere waves in a vast sand sea. Low-lying bowl, at least 30 miles in diameter, will bake under the fierce desert sun. The superheated air, which you still feel, is unrelieved by even a wisp of breeze, and it hangs in shimmering curtains over the conical roofs and minarets that were once a great city. This is apparently where you were seeing the reflection back at the river. But as dawn approaches, not quite light yet, you can feel it is already building heat quickly.
So we should take a rest.
Yeah, probably about another hour or two before dawn.
And we are definitely going to want the hut because the hut is air conditioned.
Yes. There's a big saving grace. Too bad you can't fit the camels in there.
Yeah,
That's how you end up
that
with naked Goliaths.
could be an issue if it gets too much hotter. But
Yeah, the camels are definitely getting camels are definitely getting uncomfortable. This is the first time in all your journey that you notice the camels reacting to the heat. And the sun isn't even up yet.
Yeah, this could be a problem.
Well, one thing I will say that should be obvious to all but the lowest perception rolls. So Redruth, cover your ears. They're going to need shade. You're going to need to put up some kind of tent or
Yeah, we'll
overhang.
try to
Yeah.
find a spot and or make one. Yeah, we've got a tent, don't we? In our
I think we do.
All right. So are you going to prep camp early, or are you going to continue until the sun starts coming up? Because you still got probably
Okay,
about
for a
another
second.
hour or two.
I think if it's that hot, it makes sense to
Yeah,
prep things.
it makes more sense to stop for the day right now. And
I don't see a tent in my stuff.
I think it's in the party sheet.
yeah, that's where I thought I saw it. Was it in the party sheet?
I think the tents are listed in the party sheet.
Oh yeah, there we are.
Right.
2 very large tents.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. So I say we set up the tent and see if we can get the camels inside. It depends how big the tents are. You know, and then get the camels inside and then set the dome up either part inside, part outside, so we can see both the animals inside the tent as well as outside if we need to.
All right. So you spend a little extra time getting everything ready this morning. Set up the tent, you set up for the camels. The camels do seem unusually thirsty. You can already tell you are going to go through your water much quicker than you would normally. And then it hits. The sun comes up over the horizon and it is strong. Very, very strong. The heat is kind of like sticking your hand underneath a magnifying glass. So presumably all quickly take refuge inside the hut. The camels clearly keep themselves right up to the very edge of the shadow, but will not venture out into the direct sunlight at all. So they stay huddled underneath the tent, no matter how close they have to be, because the sun's heat is just that oppressive. As the hours go on and the sun rises, it hurts to stick your hand out of the tent. Again, as a comparison, the temperature outside now has risen to between 160 and 180 degrees.
This is that level in Mario where the sun's trying to hurt you.
So, other than the heat, obviously nothing is moving outside. No wind, no sound. Looking outside the hut is just that heat shimmer effect, making it look like you might as well be on the plane of fire itself. So, are we going to do anything? Or are we just going to let the day proceed?
It sounds like it's better just to let the day proceed.
Well, the camels do
Definitely.
manage to go through a huge amount of water. You guys, not quite so much, thanks to the environmental controls of the hut. I ain't talking about Java. But you make it through until sunset, and the temperature cools down to a much more comfortable 110 degrees.
Man, it's still pretty rough. All right.
Yeah, the
we're
sun
gonna
hasn't
keep
quite
on keeping
the sun hasn't quite gone down yet, but the heat you're feeling at this point is what's coming off the sand, not what's being added to by the sun. So are you going to wait it out until the sun entirely goes down, or are we just keeping refuge inside the hut until everything bakes?
I just imagine one of the Goliaths got me in weasel form tied to a stick and they're just sticking me outside the just to test the temperature and just see how much I shrivel up when they pull me back in.
He's not safe yet.
All right. Well, I'm waiting for an answer. Are we packing up now or waiting until the last light sets?
I mean, I say
I
we wait
would-
till dark.
I would say wait.
All right. So we give you
Hang on a
basically
second. Do we have that option though? Let me pull up. How long does the hut last? It's 8 hours.
It lasts 8
so-
hours, but it's a ritual. So so you'd have to cast it every 8 hours.
So yeah, you might have to put up with 10 minutes of direct sun at some point. But yeah, I'm gonna say for all intents and purposes that you're keeping it sustained and recasting it as necessary. Casting it as a ritual doesn't use up a spell slot, right?
Correct.
You can only
That's correct.
cast, can you only cast one ritual or only cast a spell as a ritual once per long rest?
Neither. There's no limit.
Oh, okay, so then you're good. We're absolutely
There's
good.
no limit except how much time you're willing to spend.
Gotcha. All right, so sun sets, temperature cools down to roughly around 100 degrees, maybe high 90s. It's still pretty oppressive, but at least it's something that you can function in, relatively speaking. And to be fair, it actually does feel kind of cool compared to what's been outside, but since you guys have been spoiled by air conditioning, it's notably more oppressive. That being said, you get the tent packed up. You guess that there's some life coming to the desert as the sun sets. You occasionally hear a slide of sand or maybe something crawling across it, insect-like or otherwise, that isn't really worth any note other than that, yeah, there is life in this place. So hut decast, tents put away, everyone's back on their camels, and we're proceeding in which direction?
North, Miss Tessmacher. No, I'm sorry. What direction were we going?
We were heading southish, I
Towards the
believe.
fire.
So yeah, the
Um,
runes that you saw are still present to the south, maybe about 3 to 5 miles distant. You can see them reflecting off of the sun as it sets and the moon as it rises. So I presume we're continuing to head that direction.
Yes, we are. And Kaoli is taking notes for her map and to help us navigate just in case we just in case people start losing track of where we are.
Gotcha. All right. So
God, I want that keen mind feat, but there's so many other feats that I need first.
all right.
So many other things.
So after the sun sets and we're all packed up, camels are watered and fed. You would say you're going through water at least twice as fast as you expected to be. But you head on south, you still have enough for at least a week's worth of water, even at the accelerated rate, so you're not too bad off as you're well supplied. But as the city is approached, the toil becomes unbearable. The heat is nearly overpowering, and with each step, the leg sinks into the soft sand to mid-calf, as though the sand were a bottomless quagmire. There's nothing to do but plod on, for if one stops, he or she begins to sink. The glittering dome of a building ahead is a beacon, but does it warn of treacherous ground nearby, or does it promise refuge? We just don't know.
Charge on. Let's do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Keep going.
Mhm. I took locate object. I could concentrate on star gem, see if I can sense it. I mean, as long as it's within 1,000 feet of me, I'd sense it.
Is this stuff quicksandy?
It's pseudo quicksandy, as the description mentioned. If you stop, you do begin to sink, but you only go up to about calf deep, which is enough to make it really, really tiring. But you're not going to sink until you drown.
So yeah, if you wanted to stop and perform something, it's not gonna kill you.
Once we get closer to this dome, I'll cast it.
Sweet.
To the dome.
To the dome.
To the Thunderdome.
All right.
Something wasted on the dusty ground. I can just see myself trudging through the sand, big Goliath whistling this thing. Yeah.
Well, this is going to take forever.
It's okay, baby.
All right. Where the heck did it? Oh, there it is. All right. So you approach the dome, which as you get closer, you realize it's not a natural structure at all. And as a matter of fact, once you approach within probably a few hundred yards of it, it quickly becomes apparent to several of you that this is a persistent magical construct.
God damn it. God's damn it, I mean.
Why? That's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
Well, I said it could just be the djinn fucking with us, though.
Could be.
Could just be a major image left here to draw people away from the river so they dehydrate like raisins.
But
Well, it's
the
for the most part a transparent structure. So, there are it occasionally courses with magical energy, which causes the reflections that you've seen from afar. But beyond the dome itself, you can see the runes that were there. You don't have reason to believe it's an illusion, but for lack of a better description, this just appears to be a very large force field. Now, most of the ruins are just the very tips of various minarets and other domes that are pointing through the sand. Nothing is exposed enough that you see any windows or doors. And in some cases, many of the minarets, the tips have broken off, they've crumbled. Some are barely protruding through the sand. But as far as you can tell, there's no way into the dome. Even if you begin to start digging around the edges, it does seem to go beneath the sand for how far you have no idea.
How close are we to it?
I mean, Varg and the wizard could mystic step through it on the other side.
But
I
then
mean,
Uh,
what could go wrong?
I think Dimension Door would work. I think Misty Step, you have to be able to see where you're going.
Well, you can see the other side of it. That's not a problem. But to
Okay.
give you an idea of it, so it's
Sorry,
obviously a dome.
multitasking.
And if you were to presume that the dome continues indefinitely in its current arc beneath the sand, you would presume that you're somewhere around the 75 to 80 degree latitude mark on the dome. So you're at a pretty good slant right now, but it obviously spreads out quite further and covers an area much larger beneath you.
Okay. Interesting.
Somebody touch it.
That's very scientific.
Hey, I know scientists that like to taste things.
Yeah.
There's a whole SciShow episode about discoveries that were made because people were either stupid enough or adventurous enough to taste things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like the guy with the first mushrooms. Thought, oh, these are
Or
great.
LSD, I was thinking. And then again, there are people like Marie Curie who didn't even have to touch it.
Just quick question, Keith. What is the dome made out of?
Like I
Just
said,
find
it's,
out.
it's a
Just
magical
magical energy,
construct
right?
that's transparent. It just basically seems to be a force field that occasionally,
That's what I'm thinking.
I think.
occasionally
We are
reflects light.
So it's buried in the sand and we are part way up it.
You're right at the edge where the sand laps up against it. And again, if you
Right,
think
but
if you
you
think of a
said we're at the-
globe, if you think of a globe and you come up to about 75 to 80 degrees, so like about where the middle of Alaska would be, and think about how much the globe is tilted more towards the poles rather than it would be vertical at the equator. So there's a much larger portion of the dome beneath where you are, but the sand laps up to it like a beach.
And I'm wondering, it being magical, Misty Step and Dimension Door are not going to work through it.
Well, to the sense of the
Well-
restriction that you have to see where you're going, it does not impede your vision.
How can I see, like, on the other side of the dome? Is the ground level or does it drop away below us?
Given the occasional undulations of the sand, it's mostly level. As the other description described earlier, the sand bowl that you're in right now, outside the bowl, the sand dunes were large and insurmountable. Inside here, they're more like ripples. Well, let me correct myself. The dunes outside are not insurmountable, but they're definitely a lot more imposing and you can't see over them.
So is
But for the-
anybody going to touch it to see if the dome is actually a force shield of any side, or if we could just pass right through it?
Yeah, I heard a few good arguments for touching it, but I didn't hear any volunteers.
Well, it was Varg's
I don't-
idea, so he already touched his nose, so he's out.
Okay, well,
And I've seen, I don't know if you guys have seen Monsters University yet, Pixar's sequel to Monster Inc., but when the one guy says, I'm gonna touch it, it ends up very, very bad. So Haig's not gonna touch it.
Is the druid still a weasel?
Yes,
That's
the
a lot of
jury.
Barbecuing the weasel.
Do you mean in animal form or human form?
The druid
So I
is
will-
still a weasel, so I take it you just gonna. You kept. Did you even untie me for that stick, or am I still tied to the stick and you carry me around?
Lob the ferret.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just be
But you
like,
live
one
on.
more time, buddy, and just stick him into the thing and see what happens.
Are you
Weasel.
placing him on it or you're tossing him over?
No, he's on a stick, so I'm just kind of like, I'm the crane arm, and he's just kind of suspended, so like he can just touch it.
So you're
Very
just
gentle.
you're just
Weasel on a
poking at
stick.
the dome with a weasel on a stick.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Poke, poke, poke. Yeah, I'm not sure which is more uncomfortable. The well, actually, it's kind of flat. It's not like it's pointy or anything like that. But the stick itself probably is poking against him. It's the wall is hard as stone, but it's very, very smooth. But doesn't cause him any damage, doesn't cause him any pain. There's no reaction of the wall to him touching it. It's just basically a invisible wall of who knows what.
Can he pass through it, or is it
No.
is it a shield of some sort?
It's a shield.
Can I
Like I said, it's hard as
pretend?
stone.
Can I pretend that I snuffed it when I touched the dome?
Can you pretend you what?
I died as soon as
Oh.
I touched the dome.
Oh.
I don't know. What's your performance
Roll-
skill?
Yeah, I was gonna
Newsroom?
say roll performance against Kaylee's perception.
Let me. That could have to be a straight up just a check on my
Bard's
end.
perception's a 12, so
I think Kaylee's is like 17 or 18. Actually, it might be
Okay.
slightly higher than that.
Across the streams. Thanks, Egon.
A whole 12, huh? All right. So let's see. Compared to that, how does everyone else do? All right. So out of all of you, Redreth thinks that you killed the weasel.
Of course. Of course.
Everyone else is just sitting there kind of snickering, and Redreth is like, oh my God, Mizram! Dude, what did
The
he do to you?
question, is he sad or happy about that?
Well, that's your choice, isn't it?
I guess we're gonna have to get another weasel.
Yeah, but it's,
Varric, check-
Miz, it's obvious to you that Redreth is the only one that fell for it.
Varric, check and see if weasels are good eating.
And I'll go to put him in my mouth.
With his perception skills, does he even know that it's Miz, or does he just think it's a weasel?
Well, given that you're not dumb, you would question where another weasel would come from out in the middle of here.
No biggie, sand weasel, whatever.
Oh, poor Miz. Poor Miz. Meanwhile, just the rest of you are still on the outside of the dome.
So everyone's still outside the dome, right?
Yep. No. Yeah. No one went through it. It's too.
Okay.
It can't be pierced by a weasel on a stick. That's for sure.
I think we're
Well,
all trying to figure out the puzzle.
Well, let's see here.
Well, only one of you has dimension door, right? So if we were going to test to see if Misty Step works, to see if we could follow up with dimension door, I mean, I think somebody has to try to step, right?
Well, I can dimension door myself and one other in. I've only got 2 4th level spell slots, and I will blow one of them to do it, but I can bring someone else with me. I can do it twice, and I have 3 Misty Steps I could potentially do, but then I will pretty much be out of juice and not a lot of help if anything else happens. So
Yeah,
So
I can miss
get
a
a
step
total of 2
myself.
people. I can get myself and 2 other people through, basically. And oh, that's true. And Barrett can Misty Step himself.
Is this expansive? How big is the dome? Did it say how? But if we could kind of guess the diameter of the dome, or is it just massive?
I mean, the part that you can see or the part that beneath the sand?
That we can see.
Yes.
Just the part that you can see above the sand is probably an area about 300 yards across. Maybe a little smaller than that, at least 2 football fields.
So 2 football fields. 2 football fields, and if I can kind of gauge the top of it, or how it would look if it was complete. I mean, it wouldn't be a massive place underneath, enough for a couple of large buildings, maybe.
Well, you're apparently just seeing the very top of what's left of those buildings.
Right.
And who knows
So
how
if we
far
misty
down
step
they
on the other
extend.
side, yeah, are we gonna be falling? Potentially?
Well, it says you can, it says it's not obstructing your view. You can see through it.
Oh, okay, okay. I mean, shall we try bamfing on the other side?
We can.
Who's staying outside the dome is the question. If
I'm
Redriff can
wondering,
bamf 2 people.
I'm wondering if we want our scouts to go in.
Probably not a
Namely
bad
the
idea.
druid and the scout.
I can only bring myself, so I'll be the muscle.
I was
We're
gonna
also
say, I wanna
only
make
at one
sure that-
spot. We could also go around the outside of the dome to see if we see anything close to the dome that might be
Yeah,
some sort of mechanism.
Yeah.
Anything close to
Yeah.
the dome is probably going to be the answer. Do we
All right,
want to kind
so
of,
do I understand correctly that we are intending or considering one of you misty stepping in and the rest of you scouting the outside of the dome?
well, I think we should try to
no.
test the Misty Step first.
Okay. So who's doing that?
let's let the paladin who can actually take a hit do that.
That's a
I
good
see
idea.
I see the argument in that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
me too. I like it. I like it. Okay. Let me check something here. I'm gonna take a small parchment out of my holy pack and just stick it to my shoulder and cast Shield of Faith on myself. Does that make me target me? Shield of Faith. Gives me a +2 to my AC. And then I will
Ounce of
I'll
caution.
find
Worth a
the
pound of cure.
what's that?
An ounce of precaution is worth a pound of cure.
Damn right. And then I
So,
will
yeah.
find a decent landing zone and just misty step to it.
Okay. Well, it's not too cluttered inside there. Obviously it's not been windblown or affected by any of the elements beyond, what's crumbled over time. And at the height that presumably the sand has filled it up to, you're at the very top of, the few small buildings that actually pierce the skyline. So there's a lot of open space. There's maybe about 5 or 6 portions of buildings that are sticking above the sand in this space that you're looking at. And you misty step beyond the force field. Everyone sees you appear. You see them on the other side, no problem. And you are now standing on a very quiet, undisturbed parcel of sand amongst the ruins of several buildings.
All right.
Sorry, no map to go with this, not at this scale.
Good,
And
but
they-
not
and I-
great.
So I can see them too, right?
They can see you, you can see them. Force
Can I
field
hear
does
them?
not obscure, does
Okay.
not obscure vision. Somewhat muffled, but yes, kind of like hearing someone through glass.
Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll just take a look around, see if I see anything in the general vicinity, and I'll give the all clear sign.
You look around, as I
Okay.
said, everything is motionless, undisturbed,
right.
silent as the void.
Okay.
How's the
What's the-
temperature
I
inside?
was just gonna say the same thing, Jim. What's the climate in there?
No difference in the climate.
Okay. I'm gonna go let the dog in, but then Kayla Lee would like to have somebody transport her inside so she can look around.
Does anyone have that ability? Or do they have to hold her hand during a misty step or something like that?
I would have to dimension door. It would
Understand.
use a 4th level spell slot. So if it's worth doing that, then I can.
Well, I'd suggest while you're waiting for her to get back, then that Varric goes ahead and does a preliminary search of the area.
I certainly
That-
will.
That would be fine. The other thing is you could bring both scouts inside at the same time, I believe you said.
And then I would be 100% tapped out on, I cannot do any more dimension door type things. So
Did we?
So you can only cast it once?
I can cast it a total of twice.
Okay, and
And
how
if
many
I do-
people can you bring?
I can bring one person per.
Okay,
So Varric does a preliminary
you-
search,
Go ahead.
looking around at the buildings. And as I said, there's not many of them. Some of them have crumbled, opening up the very top of a minaret here or a spire there. They're pockmarked from the sand, but given the lack of wind or anything else, it obviously had to have been damage that occurred a long time ago. But from his initial view, what's jutting out of the sand, as I said, offers no entry further. There's no doors, there's no windows on the buildings that have collapsed enough to allow ingress. The sand pretty much fills up at the same level as where you're at. There's no rooms. You're apparently at the very top of some kind of awning or ceiling or roof structure. But your initial impression is that this is not, if there's anything below here, this is not the way in.
All right. Interesting.
All right, so in the interest of not drawing this out, I am going to point out, DM to players, that this section of the module is really meant to try either your patience or mine or all of ours.
Cool.
Basically, you are not supposed to figure anything else out or have anything else happen until not just a random encounter occurs, but a specific random encounter occurs. Now, admittedly,
oh, really?
yes. Now,
Well,
admittedly,
we haven't walked around the dome yet, so that could still happen.
well, exactly. And that's what I expect that you're going to do. But as I said, in the interest of not drawing this out excessively, basically, you guys, presuming that you are committed to sticking around until it happens, there's basically nothing you can do until this encounter happens. So, presuming that we don't want to just lollygag around the empty dome, I'm just going to go ahead and figure out how long it is before this happens and then proceed
Okay.
from there. Does that seem reasonable
Sounds
to
good.
everyone?
Can I make my
Yeah.
guess before it happens?
Sure. You want to take bets? How so?
I don't know. It's a stretch.
We're probably
I'm thinking about-
going to.
You
Go ahead.
remember the vines in Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Remember the vines in Harry Potter where they, when they finally give up, they pass through it?
Yep.
Mhm.
I wonder if that's it. That's all.
Just a question: how many people did we manage to actually get into the dome before?
I think it's just me.
ran out of spells.
It's just fair.
Right now, there's just one.
Yeah, we could get a total of 4 of us in there. I can, if I blow both my spell slots, I can get
Wait,
2
wait,
others.
wait. How would you get back out to fetch the second one?
Misty step. It would blow other spell slots.
Okay.
Yeah. I can do 3 misty steps and 2 dimension doors, and then I'm tapped out. So
Well, the best I can do as a druid is cast meld into a stone on someone so they can go under the ground and hopefully get underneath the dome and then come back up into the dome and then cast it on
And
myself.
now, Keith, another question: Does air go through this dome? Do you feel a breeze inside?
There's no breeze whatsoever. But in the interest of being able to answer the question which you posed, you do attempt to blow on it, and apparently air can pass through it. There's just no air moving to pass through it.
We have a potion of gaseous form.
Okay.
Mm.
Hmm.
So that would
Mm.
get
That's interesting.
See, that's my
Yeah,
thought.
hell
I
yeah.
think we have. So here's my thoughts with the vines thing. I think we have to pass through the sand, but I don't know if it's inside the dome or outside the dome.
Mhm.
And once we're inside, are we going to have a way to get back out?
Me and the wizard do.
That's my
I mean, if
thoughts.
we have to wait until after a long rest, and then I can do the same thing. But we've only got 1 potion of gaseous form, so we would be here for like 2 long rests before.
Right. And if we do it at the wrong
everybody back
location, we're going to spend all our spell slots and not be able to do anything. So that's why I'm
true.
kind of stuck. Because if it's if we see the top of the stuff, we obviously have to get deeper, but
Yeah.
I just don't know how. Does anybody have any thoughts? And again, that's what I'm saying. We might have to walk around the dome to find any triggering things.
Yeah. We should.
Um,
Yeah. We can walk around the dome and see what's what.
Just to let you know, my melding stone does last for 8 hours, so that should give. If I cast it on, I don't see. It don't say anything about concentration, so I could cast it on like 3 people.
It's starting to look better. Good.
Nice.
Okay.
And then if we
What
got a
does that
rest, I can definitely cast it again that amount of times.
What does that stone do?
It allows you to basically meld into the earth and like basically travel
Oh, I see.
through the ground.
Sounds like it gives you an effective burrow speed in certain types of ground.
Yeah. Just question, Steve, did you, when we were back at the Oasis resting, did you remember click the rest button for everyone? Because I just realised I still haven't got my spell slots back, or is that just gremlins?
No, you could be right. So let's give it a try. No reason why we shouldn't at this point.
Wait, thinking.
to move this along a little bit. So you basically spend the entire night looking around for a way into this place.
Yep.
Dawn arrives. You realize you can't keep this up through the heat. It quickly reminds you of that. You take camp. You set up the tent again. You get inside the hut. You wait until nightfall. And you begin the process again. You spend another night looking around, trying to find a way in. At this point, you've circumnavigated the entire dome. You are pretty sure there's no way in directly next to the dome. And make it through literally a second night without any success. Set up the hut, set up the tent, keep the animals watered and fed. You start your third night. Let me see, is that right?
Oh, you did a roll for the time, right? So eventually we're gonna get there.
Well, before
Yeah, that's
I'm just moving ahead the clock until the next thing happens. So
Okay.
you
Yeah.
basically spend all of that night, all of the following night, and then shortly after.
Can I ask you a question too?
Yeah, sure.
Is it safe to assume we try, since we're doing a little bit of resting, that we try misty stepping? Some of the guys try misty stepping and finding any more clues inside. I just want to cancel out inside versus outside, is why I ask.
Absolutely. I just would ask that you select who's going to be the guinea pigs.
Yeah, and whoever goes inside, wherever I go, the dome goes. So whoever's hanging out outside has to deal with the sun or whatever until I can get a long rest in.
How many times can you cast it, Natty?
Or
You can only have one up at a time.
Right.
well, I can.
No, I mean,
I could.
Dome or it's outside the dome.
Oh, wait a minute! But I could lean right against the big dome and cast my dome, and it would be half inside, half outside.
Yes, you could. It'd be a little cramped though on either side.
That's not my problem. I'm inside regardless.
Anyway, that's all I was concerned about, was canceling that
I
out.
would-
Maddie, if you're okay
probably
with casting it.
Take the scout type people. If there's not an impending battle, then I would guess that, the scout type
Yeah,
people would want to be
and-
inside.
yeah. Kaylee would be interested in examining inside and outside, looking for a better way to get in, so that we don't have to keep relying on these limited spell slots.
All right, so we can spend a bunch of time figuring out who's inside and who's outside. You do get, I presume, since Kaylee expressed interest, she's going to be at least one of the people that goes on the inside and does a search around.
Mhm.
Go ahead and roll a investigation check.
Right. Let me find some dice.
Oh, that's right. You're not in here. I will roll it for you. Sorry.
Okay. I have dice. There's lots of dice around here.
All right. You rolled
I just have to convince the mimic not to bite me when I go reaching in its mouth for the dice.
That's okay. This works better anyway, since you're not supposed to know the results of the roll anyway.
Okay.
And that being said, you really don't find anything insightful whatsoever.
Okay.
It's a bunch of ancient runes. There's no inscriptions. There's no writings. There's no clue that you can discern that will help you find a way in further. The only
Okay.
thing that you're sure of is that there's more beneath the sand, but the sand is piled up dozens, if not hundreds of feet beneath it. So if there's a way in, it's not.
So would probably need, several days worth of constant move earth cantrips to excavate any small portion.
Potentially, yes. That could be one way to make it happen. All right, so let's see.
Oh, this phone uses so much power.
And Matt looked inside the towers. You said there wasn't anything of interest in there, right? Like not a switch to drain the sand off a roof or anything like that?
Was that question for me? I'm sorry.
Yes. You said Varick didn't find anything inside the towers that stood out, right? To drain
Correct.
like a staircase inside the tower or anything?
Correct, nothing like that.
Okay.
Now, there are probably one or two buildings that are still completely sealed that don't provide any ingress to the inside area. So, not to seed too many ideas and not saying that's necessarily going to be fruitful, but if you could find a way to get through one of those walls, there might be open space that has a way down, but there's nothing to encourage you to think that that would be the case. Everything seems to be pretty full from here.
Karen, can you find out if there's a fee, please?
So, moving along, we're going to continue to try and find nothing, try and find nothing. But about an hour into, maybe 2 hours into the third day, or the third night, I should say.
The question is, for this hour into the third day, did I refresh my spell slots or had I just pushed somebody through and am therefore down my 4th level spell slots?
That's a good question. After 2 days of going inside, how reasonable is it that you would say, okay, let's go back inside or let's focus our efforts on the outside? And that's a call I will let you make rather than randomly determining it.
I think it would
I
take
say we
me
focus on the outside.
one side of, say that again?
I say we focus on the outside. Going into the third day, we spent a couple of days trying to figure out if there's anything inside the dome. See if there's another way on the outside for sure on day 3.
Okay, so yeah, so right when we get there, I'll get 2 people in, then they're in there for, until I do a long rest, and then I can get them back out again. And then if I get one,
right.
it's gonna be topped up. So then I would have my spell slots back, and everybody would be back outside by the time the third day came around.
Yeah, for sure. Hell yeah.
Sounds like.
Okay,
So
very good.
I will trust you to appropriately update your sheet and keep available what you think is necessary. But just to be fair, I have no desire, need, or method, given the current content, to deprive you of any spell slots prior to moving forward. That being said, it is finally on the third night while you guys are searching around. Still somewhat close to each other, but not close enough to each other that you can just reach out and grab each other. But Haig suddenly finds that he can't pull his leg out of the sand. Been trudging along, looking along the edge, one side to the other. All of a sudden, you go to pick up your leg and you almost stumble, falling in because your leg is now being sucked down. You have found a sinkhole and you are being pulled into said sinkhole.
Oh, lovely.
Can I roll to see if I'm smart enough to know whether to scramble or to stay still?
You can make that choice. If you
Don't
want to
panic.
roll, go ahead, but
I want to play of whether I'm intelligent enough to know that or not. Because I don't know if he would be. He's not a sand. I'm not a
not sure.
sand character.
I'm not
But-
sure
but-
that that would necessarily be an intelligence roll. I'm thinking that might be closer to a wisdom roll.
Or a
That's what I'm
survival
doing, a
roll,
Survival is what I'm going to roll.
straight up survival, yeah,
Okay.
which I think is based on wisdom.
It is based on wisdom.
Yes. I am. Hmm.
It's not a high roll, but I'd say DC 12 is not unreasonable for,
Got it on my phone.
I'm
For
not
whether-
staying still, but I'm not panicking.
okay, that makes sense.
I'm
Now
trying
the
to swim
question
a
is,
little
are
bit.
you
and figure
alerting
out slowly.
anyone else to this? Because at this point, no one else has noticed it.
Okay, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just him, it's not everybody else.
Correct.
Again, not a panic, but not. Whoa.
Hey,
Hey,
guys,
guys,
little
whoa.
help.
Yeah. Whoa. Somebody throw me something.
I can
I'm
zoom
like-
over and toss him a rope.
Okay. We're not going to bother rolling for the rope
I'm-
toss at this point. He's able to successfully catch the rope, no
Yeah,
problem.
I'm probably the only one who can get close enough without sinking because ring of flying.
That makes sense. It definitely helps. I don't know if that really limits anyone from being able to toss a rope to him. So, but
Right.
it's a valid point. You don't know how large the area of effect is for the sinkhole. But you're able to easily get him the rope, obviously, for you practically can hand it to him. So he has the rope on one side, you're holding the rope on the other side. I presume you're
There's
gonna
no
And-
try to
anchor.
pull him out, right?
I was going to say there's
I'm-
no anchor if he's flying.
Right.
I was just going to say I'm probably going to then fly the other end of the rope to known stable ground and holler for the sorry, who's in the sinkhole?
Hey,
Pig.
Hey,
Big,
Haig. So
dumb,
I'm
ugly.
probably going. I'm probably going to holler for Varric
Okay.
to come haul his brother out of this pit.
100%. I'll rush over and start pulling him out.
all right. So Haig, if I'm reading this correctly, you and your gear currently weigh 537 pounds. Is that correct?
Probably pretty hefty. Yeah.
Up, bud. Hear it.
I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
I can also do the dimension door. I can run over to him and dimension door us out if we need to.
I'm trying to
I need-
decide if I want you to. 'Cause I
Yeah,
don't
well,
wanna die.
can very, well, I mean, if all of us pull on the rope, we should be able to pull you out. If we all just do it like a tug of war kind of thing, we should be able to drag you out.
Hook him up to a camel.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Camel's got pulling power. Probably more than 1 horsepower, as they were.
And what exactly
Well,
one
each
camel
camel
power?
has one. Yeah, each camel has one camel power. I don't know how much that is.
It's actually a really good idea, Albie.
I have no
Um,
business.
Now, the question is, do you have enough time to do so? So at this point, after Kaylee has provided him a rope and has landed on secure ground,
You know what?
I'm
Feed
listening.
me in. Feed me in. If I yank on the rope, pull me out.
Oh,
I was just thinking that I could take a pole or a stick or something and just fly over and spiral in closer to see the extent of this pit.
I'm wondering if this is vines, guys. Feed me in. If I yank twice, pull me out. Let me sink.
Varric will agree and let his brother do it if that's what he wants to do.
Okay. You're keeping
Gosh, I
hold
hope
of
this
the,
works.
rope.
Me
I hope this
too.
works too.
All right, so still need to answer this question regardless of whether or not you're being let in or trying to be retrieved.
I'm gonna die.
At the point that you make this decision, who is holding on to the rope?
Ver.
Varric, anyone else, or just you?
Yeah, I would think that that if he's
I'm-
wanting to go down, then we can all hold on as a as
Yeah,
an anchor.
yeah. I was thinking that I would also be hanging on to the rope and just holding
I-
it.
Okay, now,
Bind the camel
now
reeds
Feckish
together,
did
please.
have the idea of using the camel as an anchor, which I'll agree is a good idea. Are you going to act upon that?
Yes.
Okay, so Feckish presumably is going to retrieve one of the camels as the rest of you grab onto the rope. Is that correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
All right, so if my understanding is correct, Haig is currently being sucked down the sinkhole. He's slightly less than waist deep in said sinkhole at this point. Feckish is retrieving a camel while everyone else is anchoring the rope.
Mm,
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So let me check this out quick. Italy.
Now, just keep in mind that we don't know how deep this is going to take him,
I
and this
know.
is a 50-foot rope.
If I don't yank on the rope, you could keep the grabby end on your side and attach some more rope. But if it's 50, no. If it's 50 foot, I'm going to run out of air before I pass through anything. So
Yeah.
I don't think we have to worry about it. If
Okay.
this is meant to do what I think it's, which I not what I think, what I hope it's meant to do, or else I'm going to die. I should hopefully I should get to where I'm supposed to go without too much time.
And I
because
will
I'll run
wait.
out of air.
I will wait about after his head goes under the sand. I will wait about 30 seconds, and then I will cast sending and send him the message. What do you see? And are you all right? It's 25
Sweet.
words or less.
Nice. Dude. Hell yeah.
I think we have a plan.
Cool.
So are we ready to let
Amazing.
time proceed and let the events of this plan manifest themselves?
Already marked off the spell slot for sending.
Okay. All right, so Haig decides to allow himself to descend through the sand. You are engulfed by the sand. It covers it covers you. You have to close your eyes. You're doing your best to keep it from coming in through your nose. And it's actually somewhat brutal. A rush of the sand actually does cause you to take 2 points of damage.
Okay.
Not terrible. Not terrible.
No, not terrible, but not painless.
Mhm.
Says you have wounds of 6. I guess for some reason we didn't restore, but I'm just going to change that to 2 because I'm considering everyone fully healed before coming in here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a couple
Yeah,
of
I
days,
forgot
so
to-
yeah, he would have.
I forgot to reset. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're using a variant healing rather than the programmed auto heal. So
And what's the length of the rope that you tossed him?
50 feet.
it's a total of 50 feet, but I don't know how far we are from him. As the
Gotcha.
anchor.
But it's also not the
His-
rope that auto attaches, correct?
It is not the magic rope. It is the other rope.
And
Okay.
I have another 50 feet of hempen rope that I can, we start running out of rope, I can tie another one onto the end of it.
Well,
Okay,
depending on how much time that you have. So, and that's exactly
yeah,
the point that we
it'll
are
be
at right
tricky
now.
because
Yeah, we're kind of at a point where events are going to progress. So hold on a second.
Yeah.
So he's gone down beneath the sand. He's being smothered by the sand. He's had to close his eyes so he can't see. And he reaches the extent of the rope. Sand is still rushing past him. And Varric, initially being the only one that is holding on to the rope initially, is lunged forward quite a bit. And at this point, the rest of you start helping out in order to keep him from going down. Hey, you're still surrounded by sand. It is flowing past you at a pretty good clip. It's not completely immobilizing you, but your movement is definitely curtailed by the flow of sand. Again, you can't open your eyes. You can't see anything at this point. How are you going to respond?
Oh my gosh, the sand is moving at a pretty good pace though.
Yep.
It's not
Past you.
it's gotten faster.
Beyond where you first came in, yes.
Oh, F me. I let go.
You let go.
I let go.
All right, so let's.
Based off a fucking Harry Potter reference.
No, but the sand is moving faster. Like in a sinkhole, you would think if it's compacting,
Yeah.
if it's compacting, it would slow down.
It's
but it's going
flowing
faster.
somewhere.
Right.
Okay, no more sharing. Dan, I'll meet you in a breakout room. We'll be right back.
Oh my gosh.
Oh shit. Whispers.
Oh, whispers.
Has it
whispers,
been longer
whispers.
than 30 seconds? So he got my message and he was still sliding?
Yeah.
And he still let go.
Okay.
No,
So I
well,
will
no,
relay
he didn't answer that yet. So I don't know. He didn't necessarily say that yet.
So by the time 30 seconds comes around, that's the part I am curious about. What kind of response would I get for that? So
It depends
I
on
got
where
the
Keith
impression-
says I am
Okay.
in the process. If he
Dan,
sends
go
the
ahead.
message,
You should have a message to join. I'll meet you over there.
oh man, am I in heaven?
No, you're not. You're not in any finality. You don't have to worry about that, fortunately. All right. Um, so you've taken some damage from the sand brushing past you. And as soon as you let go and let yourself go past, um, you stop for a moment and find yourself in a dark area, but not for very long, because you suddenly find yourself careening down some kind of slide in the darkness. Then it swoops and slides and shifts from side to side. And then you're finally deposited out into an open area. You do take another 3 points of damage being dropped down onto the ground there.
Okay.
And let's see, where the hell is it? No. Oh, for crying out loud. You know, I really think even if I had a 100-inch screen, I'd still lose my individual windows.
I hear you.
All right, where the hell is it? There's so many windows you got to have open in this game.
I'll talk a program that
There it is.
allows you to make a tablet an extended screen if you're interested after. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that could be helpful. I mean,
Mhm.
especially since I've got like 7 screens around me most of the time. Be wonderful, like if I could make more use of the ones that I currently have. All right. Hey. Oh, I forgot to mark this. Give me a moment. All right, well, that makes it easy. All right, so you should now have a map being shared with you.
Okay. Yes, it's still black now. Maybe it's still loading.
You might see some faint ambience light, but you shouldn't see much. You should at least be able to see your token, so make sure you zoom out and can see that.
I don't actually. Let's see if I've got to move the map anywhere. Yeah, I don't.
You will find your icon on the lower portion of the map.
Is the map fairly big?
It's big enough.
Okay, let's see.
I'm going to, let's see, briefly disable lightning just for a second to see if anything pops up.
Okay.
Did you see anything?
No, I'm so far out now I can't even see grid lines.
Oh, that could be a problem. All right, hold on a second.
Yeah, I'm way out. Maybe
I
to
could've
answer
swore that I
Jim's,
tested this.
I guess we'll get there. Yeah, I don't see anything.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna try this with the other two.
Of course, I could be so. Oh, you know what I can do is I can double click my icon and see if it opens the map up. If my token is there. Nope, it still shows my token on the desert with the camels during the tiger fight. Where tiger?
Oh, I know why this isn't working. Ah, all right, hold on. Once again, I'm dragging the wrong icons over.
That's all right.
So I actually have to do the ones from the combat tracker. All right, you seeing anything now?
I closed it just in case. I'm going to double click my icon in my character sheet. So it should open. Yes, I do. Very faint brown, large room with a, geez, what is that? 50-foot wide hallway to the north or opening to the north of sorts.
Okay, that's actually a street, appears to be a street,
Okay.
and most everything else in that area is sand.
Okay, so I'll put my monocle on. See if it brightens up the area at all. Or, yeah, that'll work. I could either do that or I could just pull the sun sword, actually. I'm going to switch that. I'll pull the sun sword. Just going to be reminded of the emits bright light in a 15-foot radius, dim light for an additional 15.
What was the ranges on that?
15-foot bright light, 15 feet of dim light additional. I can actually expand it if I need to, but I'm not going to right away.
All right. So that hopefully will enable you to see. Oh,
Cool.
and you know what? I keep forgetting about this. They're able to see this on there, so I have to close that out. But at least they can see what they're looking at. All right. So that's where you find yourself at the moment without a rope.
Okay. When in the process do I hear Jim's message?
Probably not until you get down to the bottom there.
Okay, so I'm okay at 30 seconds to be softly or relatively softly landed on sand.
Yes.
Okay,
in an open space.
so I'm going to reply to them. Follow.
Come
That's
on
all I'm gonna say.
down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
Yeah. But not just follow. Take a deep breath and follow.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go back to the main room now. I'll let you know when you can start sharing information again, but that's going to be the extent to what feedback they get. So when he asks for the message, I'll let you respond.
Okay.
All right. So let's see. Breakout rooms, closing all rooms, and meet you back there.
All right. Sounds good.
I've only seen the first 3, so of that. I've been so pressed for time. I just have not been able to get anything I wanted to get done.
Right.
Oh, we've been loving it over here. It kind of took us a while to realize that where we are is actually the end of season 2. I'm like, wait a minute, that wasn't quite the cliffhanger we expected. But then thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, I guess it's a good time to pause the season.
Right. Right.
But damn, that was gnarly, that last episode, for anyone that saw it.
Hell yeah.
If you've not seen it, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'm leaving it at that. I'm not giving any details. I'm just saying I was blown away. All
Which
right,
show is this?
Vox
Legends
Machina.
of Vox.
Oh, I just started watching it. Oh yeah, don't tell me. I just started watching it.
Yeah, just that you'll enjoy it. You'll very much enjoy it.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Animated D&D done right.
100%.
Yeah, they really have done a good job with that.
All
I
right,
guess they're
so
making an offshoot of the Mighty Nine. It's also in production.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
that'll be awesome. So the question I have after
Well,
all of your
I'm going to say
chatting
goodbye
with-
first. I'm going to say goodbye first. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I'll have to roll up another character.
Boo.
I'm just kidding.
all right,
my
so
only question
Haig disappears
by-
underneath the sand. You feel the tension of the sand brushing past him, at least for a few seconds, probably about 15 seconds or so. And then there's no more tension on the sand. It's just not there anymore.
after 30 seconds, I do my spell
Mm-hmm.
and I say, what do you see? You know, are you okay? After that 30 seconds, what do I get back as a response? Because he
Dan,
can
go-
think a response.
Dan, go ahead.
Breathe deep, jump in. The water's fine.
All right,
I will walk out front the group and just say I just communicated with him, and he said take a deep breath, and the water, shrugging my shoulders, is fine, and then I'll go and jump in the hole.
Varg follows with him.
It's too late for me to say. I'm already in the hole. Camel's tent, yada yada. But
Dang it. I always forget to say to tie the camels up. They can't scatter if they're tied together.
but I didn't say that because I'm in the hole already.
He's in the hole. All right, so Redreth has jumped into the sinkhole. It's gone beneath the sand. Varric, you said you're right behind him.
Yep.
Are you holding on to him, or are you waiting for him to pass through the sand? Are you playing super bungee?
No, yeah,
I
I'll wait
just-
for him to pass through. And once he's gone, I'll go in.
Okay. So then Varric heads in after him. Who's next? Who, if any?
I'll go.
Okay, then we got Albie.
I think Kaylee is going to wait until everybody else has gone in, and then she's going to follow.
Well, at this point, we're just waiting
Kaoli
for
runs
Miz and
away,
you, I believe, right?
I will look at Kaoli in my weasel form and put my little weasel arms up in the air to be picked up and say, Please don't let me go in the water.
And you get this really weird look from Kaylee, like, really? Just go. And then she's gonna dive in.
Head first or
And
feet first?
She's gonna dive in without you.
I just
Get
hold
him
my
off.
hand up for this guy and then watch him go this side. I'm like, do my equivalent of weasel shrug, just like fucking beep.
Yeah, I think I will dive in cannonball style.
All right, so Haig is already down there. Redreth is going in. Oh, sorry, Varric is going in second. No, wait a minute. It was Redreth that was following him. No, Varric was first.
No, Redrith, Varric.
No,
Redreth-
Earth went first.
Okay, that's right. Redreth, then Varric, then Fekish, then Kaylee, and finally Miz. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So, as each of you hop into the sinkhole, oh, what's happening with the rope that was up there? Kaylee, are you taking that back, or is it still in Varric's hands?
I
I
probably
would have left
never
it
let
behind.
I probably never let go of it, so I'd be taking it with me.
Okay. All right, so this should be interesting. All right, so as each of you hop on into the sinkhole, you're correct, and presumably take a breath per Higgs instructions. You are quickly surrounded by sand, which forces you to shut your eyes as you flow with the sand down into a quickening darkness. After a few seconds, it stops, and you're in an open black space. Very dark space. However, it doesn't last very long as the floor from underneath you drops out, and you now find yourself on a guided slide surrounded by more sand, though you're not fully engulfed in it anymore, and skittering down a long chute that turns you left, right, up, down, and a few other directions before dropping you into an open space. Now, for starters, I'm not going to roll individually, but each one of you take 5 points of damage from the initial blast of sand. It's not like sandpaper on you. And then you take another.
Somebody's gonna have to mark this on my sheet.
Yeah, I will take care of it. And you take another 4 points of damage from the drop into the area below. So that's a total of 9 points of damage.
Would I have? Do I have to take that damage because I'm probably trying to still float?
I'm presuming you're not going to try to float while you're being surrounded by the sand, so it definitely would not help you with the sand, the blast of sand. And quite honestly, if
Right.
you tried to fly against it, it would probably hurt even more.
Yeah, but
And
just
then
like
when
the
you're
drop at
finally-
the bottom, because I'm expecting a drop at the bottom.
Yeah,
It's your call.
I'll let you take half damage on that portion of it.
Perfect.
So you get 7 in that case. But yeah, the drop in the open space and the floor below is pretty abrupt. You don't really have that much time to react, and it's more the force of the sand pushing you around than necessarily the fall itself. But so, all right. So Kaylee, you've taken 7. Fekish, did you already add wounds to yourself, or are you still at 14 because we didn't clear you out?
I don't think we cleared me out.
All right, so I'm bringing you down to 9, which is where you should be at.
Right up.
And Haig, we already took care of. Mizram,
Mine's there.
you're also going to have 9.
Well, that's gonna be Black Goes the Weasel.
Redreth, you're already updated. Thank you. And Varric, you're already updated. Thank you very much. All right. Now here's the problem, though. You're all pretty much in separate places.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. So
Wow. Okay.
fortunately, somehow, some way, Fekish and wound up getting deposited where Haig is. So Fekish, you
Sweet.
drop down right next to him. Additionally, Varric and Kaylee are together.
Okay.
And that means that Mizram and Redreth got deposited in a third area. Now, I cannot share with you exactly where because I do not want you guys to know where you are in relation to each other at this point. But for the most part, you guys are each seeing roughly the same view. You've been deposited in the remains of a street that's been mostly overtaken by sand dunes that have collapsed into the cavern that you find yourself in. There are the tops of a few buildings that are visible. So let's see, forgive me, I'm trying to keep
How much
track of
light
this.
is there?
Give me 1 second. Let me share this again. That should give you a roughly a good idea. So if you're looking at the Zoom screen, you can see the area where Haig and Feckish currently are. You can see there's some ambient light in the background, but Haig has his sun sword out, sun blade out, so he's able to illuminate the immediate area. And he seems to be next to a building with pillars, and hence the radial shadows that are extending from there. Probably can zoom in on this a little bit.
Cool.
And we're all in a similar area.
Yes, a very similar area, but as I said, I don't want to do too much to reveal exactly where. But let's see, in your case, Varric and Kaeli, you see a building to the south and to the east. The tops of a building to the south and one to the east. And in the case of Mizram and Redreth, you see the top of a large building to the south and another large building in the distance to the northwest.
How much ambient light is there?
Let's see. That should give you an idea. So that's what Feckish and Haig can see without the sunstone or the sunblade.
So it's dim light then?
Very, very dim.
Okay. I think the first thing I will do is cast my dancing lights. And there are 4 of them, and they need to be 20 feet, within 20 feet of each other. Because I have a range of 120 feet, I will go as far up as I can, up to 120 feet. I don't know how far the ceiling is above me, the sand or whatever makes up the ceiling. But I'll put the one right up there, and then 20 feet down, I'll put another one, and then 20 feet down, another one. And they'll basically point straight down at where I'm at.
Okay, so which direction are you placing them relative to you for starters?
Directly above me. Straight up, pointing down in a row, 4 of them in a line pointing down. They're going to be a nice warm yellow.
How high up
I
are
don't
they
know.
going to go? Because you're in the
It
street too,
depends how
right?
high. Yeah, I don't know how high the ceiling is above me. The max I can do is 120 feet. So, but I don't know how far up it is, the ceiling. If it's only 60 feet, then they'll be 60, 40, 20, or whatever. I'm not sure how high. The first one, as they all appear over me, I'll move them up right up to where the ceiling is, and just basically make us a row straight down, pointing where I am. So.
And then my first question is going to be, do I see that?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if the buildings
gonna
are in the
go up
way.
like
if
a
anybody else can see
firecracker.
it,
Right. First, do I see it? And second, do I recognize what it is?
but that is the other question. I mean, you've seen me do dancing lights before, but
Exactly.
I haven't done them like this before. So,
But have you seen me do this?
right.
Oh, look at that. He's on the map. Look what I can do. Nice.
So the sand dunes in between you prevent direct line of sight, but because you put the light up above, you can't see where the light is coming from.
Okay. But also the lights are dim. They're just too dim light in a 10-foot range or 10-foot radius. So 20-foot.
Well,
light
I did not
circle.
turn on your lights, so let's see if I can figure
Oh.
out how to adjust.
It added the effect of dancing lights. Because you didn't reveal the maps to us. You'd have to drop like a light token on me or something like that. But,
Or maybe it's.
so there we go. So people can see where I'm at.
Yeah, messing around with these light settings can be a bit of a pain in the ass at times, but
You
quite
yeah,
honestly,
if you've got a an effect on you that says light such and such a radius, then you shouldn't need a separate lighting token. It should just
right.
it should just emanate the light from your token.
I just have dancing lights concentration on me. So
Okay.
and that only
but
lasts
there
for a
is-
minute. So, but
Okay.
Yeah.
But there is in fact a an effect that you can use. And there is a vision effect that you can use,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
pretty
I've got
cool.
I've got all three of them actually in use at the moment: the ambient light, the token vision, and then the token light. So
Okay.
I'm guessing that got added because of the dancing lights. So, and I believe that's the area of illumination that's set for it, but whatever. It's not disclosing anything you shouldn't be seeing at this point. But now that brings us over to
Okay.
Varric and Kaeli, who still are not sure where they are.
Yeah, totally not sure where we are.
Nope. I mean, I've got my monocle, so I can at least see.
Yeah. We can see, that is good.
As I
It's good to
said,
be
Do
able
we
to see.
red bricks?
you see a building to the south and a building to your east.
But we don't see Redreth's beacon.
No, not
Or any other
well.
beacons.
I mean,
You do see the glow
if
of
we
a
have
light. You do see the glow of a light beyond the building to your east.
okay.
You don't see the light, but you see a glow pop up in that direction.
Okay. We will Kaeli at least will probably be inclined to head toward it, but cautiously, her usual sneaky self.
Well, in order to do so, you're going to have to climb up on the roof of the building to your east.
Oh, that's not going to bother her at all.
I didn't think so.
Between the fact that she likes to climb things and the fact that she doesn't actually have to climb, she could just fly, it's not going to bother her whatsoever.
All right, so I think at this point I can go ahead and share, make sure this is shared with everyone.
Well, I can see it on the Zoom screen.
All right, so now for better or for worse, you have a rough idea of where everyone is relative to each other.
Okay. So when I get to the top of the building to the east, can I see more detail about this glow? Or not really?
All right, so limitations and maps and whatnot, but basically I'd move you.
If
straight
you
to-
if you hold shift, then you can cross
Oh, yeah,
while you
actually,
drag me. Then you can.
yeah, I know
then
that,
you
but
can
then if I
cross the
do,
lines
I'm
of
going,
sight.
I'm aware of that, but if I do, I'm gonna
Okay.
expose the interior of the map, not the
Ah.
roof. So,
Okay.
yeah, we're just gonna say that you climb up to the top of the roof to your right there. I'm gonna move you up here just so you have a better idea of where the building and roof is.
Okay.
Basically,
And
if you're looking at the Zoom screen, you're right about here. When you hit the apex of the roof, you can see this is the other edge of the building right here.
Okay.
And from there, you actually can clearly make out Redreth's dancing lights to your east, and you can clearly
Mhm.
make out the sword that Haig is holding down to your southeast.
Okay.
But you're still standing in darkness, so presumably neither of those groups notice you.
I wouldn't think so, because I'm not trying to be noisy. I'm trying to be quiet. So yeah, I will see where the others are, and then I will come back down and report
I gotta
to.
log off early. I got an important call coming in. I'll see you later.
Okay, take care, Jim.
All right. So I will fly back down and talk to. I think Varric is the one with me,
Yes.
and tell him what I've seen. That I've seen two light sources that appear to be our companions, and they're not that far away, but they are on the other side of this building.
Okay, let's do it.
And even
Are we
though
climbing the
there is,
building?
I should point out, even though there is no sand lapping against the building on this side, there are no windows or doors on this side of the building either.
Yeah, we can climb it. How tall is the building?
This portion is about 30 feet tall.
Misty step to the top and be like, I'm waiting for you, dude.
Yeah, you beat me up there, but not by much, because I zoom up too. Apparently,
Yeah.
neither of us has to climb at the moment.
Nope.
All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna have you pop down over here.
If you drag us across the sight lines with shift held down, we don't see anything until you release shift.
Oh, that's good to know, but that wasn't that hard for me to do. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Just
and now being dropped off there, you can see Fekish and Haig directly. But the
Mhm.
dunes between you and Mizram and Redreth are still too high to see over, but you can still see the light above. And again, you guys are traveling incognito, so neither of the other two groups have noticed you cross over. Gaily, you're usually silent, and since Varric is misty stepping, you're not making much noise either.
okay. I think I am going to direct Varric to go see Fekish and Haig, and I will fly over to visit the elves.
Okay. So Varric comes down here.
And then we
And
can
over.
all reunite,
sounds good.
because this way everybody is able to know which direction to move to find the others. I'm also going to, given that Fekish and Haig are like right in front of like a building entrance, and the elves are further away and not so conveniently placed, I'm going to have Varric tell his two to stay put, and I'm going to lead my elf kin over to
Where the
the
rest
other
are
two.
gathered.
Yeah,
Yep, that makes sense.
to get us properly reunited.
Okay. And then, so, Redreth and Ms., you guys are willing to follow her, no? And any questions or anything else before you head back over the dune?
No, I guess we'll follow. I'll just be dusting myself off, glaring at her, go, wouldn't hurt myself, she would have carried me. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm just like completely ignoring your dirty looks.
All right, so I turned off token lock for the moment. Go ahead and position you guys yourselves within that circle as you see fit.
Okay, and I think we might be about to disappear, so I can stay on voice because I'm not tied to a computer, but the others look like they're almost ready to go, so.
Yeah, well, Jim already had to leave. This probably is a good point for us to call it. We're only 8 minutes shy at this point, so.
Okay, sounds good.
But at least we made it into the cavern here.
Yeah.
And
Hell yeah.
the question
Do you
is
know what
what,
I thought was going to happen? I thought we were going to have an Indiana Jones moment where we basically drop through the hole through the sand and then we're surrounded by cobras.
no, not Raiders of the Lost Ark. But then
Today,
again,
anyway.
we'll see what they do with the Dial of Destiny. That should be interesting. Hopefully Harrison isn't too old.
I mean,
Yeah.
how old is he now? I mean,
He's like in his 80s, I think. Definitely late 70s.
Crystal Skull wasn't all that great. I mean, it was
No,
okay,
it wasn't. But you can
but,
you can
yeah.
blame that on Shia, not on him.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I think we will
80.
wrap up the session here. I'm going to go ahead and
Good deal.
terminate the recording, but
Pick
we
this up
will.
in 2 weeks.
Yep. All right. So this ends session 62. See you all in 2 weeks.